last night. I mean, Ron, you were there. You will attest more than me just watching it through, but it sounded like, and I have to laugh when Mike says, well, there was a hostile environment. It was for the home team. It wasn't a hostile environment for the Steelers. It was a hostile environment for their own home team, and that did make a difference. I don't think there's any question that defense rises when they hear that kind of stuff.
Jimmy Garoppolo's extended family were the only Raiders people in the crowd. He had like 90 people there, Ron.
Yeah, I didn't see the TV part of it from where we were sitting. Oh, but Watt mentioned after the game the same thing you mentioned, Joe, saying that it's just such a big help. And it a little bit reminded me of San Francisco taking over Acrisure a couple weeks ago. Not to that degree, but it was just very reminiscent of that. There's going to be a lot of hungover people headed back to Pittsburgh today, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, this was on a different level, man. I'm looking at a picture of Freiermuth. Like, that was embarrassing, I thought, for home Steeler fans here. But that even Steeler fans on the road, this was a new level. There's a great picture in the Post-Gazette of Freiermuth pounding the ball into the turf after he scored the touchdown. And it's all terrible towels and Steeler fans, Bob. And it makes it anytime people want to ask, can a crowd legitimately influence a professional sporting event? Go get T.J. Watt's quote and go watch clips of this game. They're getting a head start on quarterbacks on the road.
That's what I mean. The silent count had to go to the home team. That rarely happens in today's game anywhere. But the Steelers, I tell you what, the fans are just it's amazing when you go and see it in person. But Vegas is one of those destinations that I think people can make it in. When the schedule comes out, it's funny already. The hotels in Las Vegas are booked for the Super Bowl, which you would expect, and that's not until February. But I bet you a lot of Steeler fans have reservations, and at worst they can sell them, just like you do with tickets. You probably, hey, I have a reservation. You want it? Here, give me double the price, and you can have it. So it's almost like an investment. But I think people legitimately love to go in a sun place where it's hot, nice weather, make a weekend of it. Yeah, you lose a day coming back, but so what?
It really is an incredible phenomenon.
It is.
That I think a lot of us, me included, take for granted. We assume that, except in places like Baltimore, that the Steelers are gonna commandeer a road stadium. And when the whole country is watching a game like that on a Sunday night, it becomes a major storyline. Like, my wife came into the room last night. She's like, "Is this game in Pittsburgh?" She was serious. I'm like, "No." She said, Why is everybody yelling for the Steelers? How many households across America had somebody say that last night?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening here?
There were fans everywhere in Vegas, but also the Steelers had a watch party in Mexico City, and they've expanded down. They had like 3,500 people at a watch party in Mexico City.
So wait till Houston next week.
Yeah, they plan to have them in Ireland, and they're going all over. It's a global phenomenon.
Ron, it must have been something to see from the press box, honestly.
Yeah, it was, and you kind of knew it was going to be there. And Bob said people like to go to warm weather. Forget about the warm weather. They were all over those casinos and the Strip here. I mean, this is like Sin City, right? I mean, it just I did not get it. I'm embarrassed to admit what I did Saturday night after I got in. But a lot of other people took advantage of it a little bit more than I did.
I think that needs to be an elaborated point.
I think it might not need to be an elaborated point. Ron, we're glad that you had fun in Vegas. Here's T.J. Watt on the crowd, and I believe him. Man, when he was on with Melissa Stark after the game, he wasn't just paying lip service to the advantage of a home crowd. He jumped in. It was kind of unclear who was going to answer the question. It was him, Pickett, and Austin, I think, on the post-game interview. And Melissa Stark said something to the effect of, did it feel like a home game? He jumps in and says, yes. And we had them in a silent count. And then he turned to the TV. He had a game ball from the broadcast. And he turned to the TV and pointed at the TV and said, you something to the effect of, you need to know what kind of difference that makes, Steeler Nation. Here was Watt after the game. Is this the locker room or the Stark interview?
This is afterwards, post game, not Stark.
Whether we're at Acrisure or we're here on the road or hopefully next week too, I just want them all to know the importance that is to the game. To be able to have a team on a silent count in their own stadium is pretty demoralizing, and it also helps the pass rush so much more, and I'm very appreciative for everybody that came out tonight and was loud.
Patrick Peterson took it a step Further, he was asked in that post game on NBC that, why did he said, I came here because of what you see here. You see this. It's a tradition. These fans, I've seen it. I've felt it on the other side of it. And he said that was a big reason in his decision-making to come to Pittsburgh.
It's pretty cool, too, under the circumstances. And we'll get to the circumstances now, which is a team that really hasn't done much in recent years. They really haven't. And everybody is, going into this game raging about the offense, which has done nothing, and yet they show up like that and provide a spark. But on the field, for you guys, what's the headline here for what happened on the field, Ron?
Well, overall, it was Pickett's best game from start to finish. 108.5 passer rating, by far his best. First time he's thrown 2 touchdown passes. Didn't have an interception for the first time this season. And the offense ran the ball a little bit. The play action worked some, and I thought it was important. They got Pickett on the move. He's best when he's rolling out and throwing on the run, and he had those 2 long scrambles, one of which was called back by a penalty. It reminded me a little bit of what we saw from him last year when he was at his best. And I just thought he looked entirely different for me. And he said it was all part of the game plan. He made it sound like, it's one thing to face Bosa, it's another thing to face Garrett. But he said, I didn't want to be a sitting duck for Max Crosby. And it was all part of the game plan. And I thought it worked out pretty well.
My headline would be 3rd down Thunder. 3rd and 7. Bomb, Calvin Austin. 3rd and 3, big part of the game. Completion, Allen Robinson. They came up with big plays on 3rd downs. Mike Tomlin always talks about the significance of those plays.
Weighty downs.
Weighty downs. Those are as weighty as you can get, especially when you consider that early in that game there was a pick 6 that Marcus Peters dropped. And as a result,
might have been the biggest play in the game.
Might have been. But Kenny Pickett shook it off. And the thing that was impressive to me, as I expound upon that first touchdown to Calvin Austin here, guys, is the fact that ball, it is hard to throw the ball down the field to someone who runs a 4.3 40. And I say that because you not only have to air it out, you have to lead him probably more than most receivers because of the speed, and he put it right on the money. I thought it was a beautiful throw.
I'm with both of you guys, picking up on that theme. To me, the main storyline, it's always going to be TJ Watt, right? It seems when they win. But for all their problems, it's a newfound explosiveness with the offense. That's 2 games in a row. Last year, they went, 14 games without a touchdown pass outside the red zone? Something ridiculous like that?
Yep.
They've got 2 70-plus touchdowns that have gone a long ways toward winning them games. That makes up for a lot when you score on 1 play. The rest of the league knows that. The Steelers are catching up. That 1 play felt like it changed everything in the game. The energy. I think Watt got a sack right away on the Raiders' next possession. And if this turns out to be a good season, who knows if it will? It was only the Raiders. I wonder if we'll look back at that 1 play that changed a season